Hi, it's Roni, and welcome to the Scrapfive challenge for the month of April. If you'd like to join us with the Scrapfive list, use hashtag Scrapfive on Instagram. And today we are using a stamp or stamps on the layout, cork if you have it, wood veneer if you don't. Use a technique that you have not used in a long time, large circle or a half circle, and use two fonts for the title of 3 words or more. And for today's layout, I'm going to use this picture of Malachi and those stickers there. They're very old. And also those mini varsity dies. Not good that I start out stumbling over my words. I am going to use all but one of those stencils there. And I'm going to use these dinosaurs that Debbie gave me, and they're from Paper Studio. I'm using quite a few, and somewhere in there I get to thinking, maybe I shouldn't have used so many. I'll be using them all up, but there's still quite a few in the package. I made my circle with my Creative Memories cutter, and I used all 3 cutters because I wanted 3 layers on there. And this paper's really old. It's Debbie Mum. I mean, it's pretty old. It's really thin and it's not printed on the other side. It the print is so faded on there. If it has a year, I can't tell it. I was lucky enough to read the Debbie Mum on there. I fussy cut out a bunch of the leaves. Some I kind of free-handed and cut them my own way because they were way too big leaves for what I was wanting it for. And I'm inking them because of that reason for a lot of it. I needed to make the edges look inked because on some of them they did to start with anyway. I used pill paint, and then for the pinkish looking ones, I used saltwater taffy. I am doing some splatters, no, packaging technique. I am using the packaging technique with mold lawn and some more of that uh, saltwater taffy. I am going to use some abandoned coral with the ink there. If I'd thought of it sooner, I would have put it down first and then put down the saltwater taffy. And it is oxide, both of the sprays are oxide. But I didn't think of it in time. I just wanted a few places here and there to be a little bit darker. I am using a couple of old inks from close to my heart, and they're probably both discontinued. As you can see, my ink pad is old, so they probably don't even have them anymore. I think one is olive, and uh, the other one was green too, but at the moment I cannot think of it. Uh, I am using that saltwater taffy again. That's such a pretty color. And it has that color in the paper. And so I wanted to go ahead and use it on my background too. I I am going to use a little bit of that tea dye for, well, they look kind of like little bugs flying together is what they look like. And so I'm kind of scattering them around the layout, and I'm trying to make sure some of them don't have all of them stamped. I just want 1 or 2, and then the rest have a whole cluster that's flying around. And there's my picture of Malachi. And I do have it layered 3 times in the back. Now, this picture, I did Photoshop it. He was standing looking up, and I'm pretty sure he was probably looking up at his daddy because he can really make him laugh. And then behind him were bellies. Did have clothing on them, but they were bellies. So I put a jungle in the background because his shirt says Wild Boy. I am using this very old label maker thingy. I hadn't used in a long time, and I'm using cardstock that has a core. This one, instead of just white core, it's got a light green. So I'm putting on there, he's a wild thing. And I did point out right there at the top of the label maker where the paper comes out, it says 3/8. And so that's the amount the width that you cut the paper. And I'm using it instead of using the plastic stuff. I do have some, but I like to use this sometimes when I use this. And I also have, well, the battery operated ones, but I can't run cardstock through it. And I do like to run the cardstock every now and then. I'm tearing the ends and then I am sanding the top part of the letters so they can be read. And that's my technique for the layout. And I've got my stamping done and I have my circle. So I have three of the things right now. To sand those letters, I'm using a really old, close to my heart sander. And it's got a heavier grade sand paper on one side than the other. And I tried both sides on here. I decided to go with the lighter. And I'm just showing how well it shows up there. And I'm going to put it at the bottom of my photo. I will move it over in a minute to the right a little bit more, but it's going to sit there for a little while. And my title, I had all this planned in my head and I forgot about the title. And so none of it's, except for that circle, is going to be where I had it planned. Nothing, not even the photo. The photo's higher than what I had planned. But my photo's Wild Thing, I Think I Love You, from that song. And I used two fonts on it, so that's another one of the things that I got done. And I had to end up looking at the list to make sure I had everything, and no, I didn't. So the very last thing, the cork, it is going to go on last because of that. I am inking the edges of that egg there, and I'm going to end up putting a T-Rex on top of him, like on top of the egg, like it's coming out. And it was the plan for it was over there where the title's at, but he's just a little bit too tall with the egg, so it's over to the right now. But yeah, nothing is in the same place I had pictured in my head. And see that big leaf up there, that cluster leaf? It's not even going to end up on there because somehow there just wasn't enough room for it. It's just a wee bit too big. I could have fussy cut just a little less. Um, I did go ahead and put foam tape. This is not my day to talk. Of course, it is like 2 o'clock in the morning and I'm trying to get this done. But I did put foam tape on the edges of the leaves and the flower petal things. So it'd be a little more dimensional instead of me just using that paper as background. And I just ended up cutting it apart instead and adding foam tape here and there. I'm gonna tuck some stuff underneath that the grass there. Oh, and that background paper. I didn't tell you what it was. It is 49 and Market Curator's Metal. And I like using it instead of just the white because it holds the mixed media stuff really well. Of course, it is pretty thick too. It's about as thick as Vicky Bouton's. Um, I am putting leaves and more dinosaurs down there, and I'm putting the brontosaurus, I think it's called, something like that. Starts with a B anyway, down there with it. The one that eats leaves. And I'm going to put that one up there, the T Rex, up there by his photo. I laid it there. No, that's not the T Rex. The T Rex is on the egg. That is a Spinosaurus because I can see his uh, fin on top of his back. But I also have that pterodactyl because I thought I really need a pterodactyl. I hope it's in here. And it was. It was on the bottom, but it was in there because he's looking up. However, he does not look like he's looking at that pterodactyl because like I said, my photo didn't end up where I intended, and I already had him glued down before I realized it. And I knew there was thin paper on the bottom, and so I just went ahead and left him there because I thought I might have him clear off the paper to get it to look right. So he's just going to stay right there, and it could be more pterodactyl or up in the air that Malachi's looking at. But while I am adding leaves and greenery and stuff here and there on my layout, I want to mention that down there below you'll find the links to everybody else that's doing the Scrap5 challenge for the month of April. And you'll also see the link for, well, the hashtag for Instagram in case you want to do it. Uh, and yeah, I got to make the list this month. And here I almost forgot the cork, but it will go on there. And it's right there. And it's by, well, it's a Studio Calico one. So it's old. I have had it a long time and I just use an arrow or two here and there. I am splattering with, instead of the ones I already used, I am splattering with Rustic Wilderness because it's darker and add another shade of green to my layout. But that's it. That's my layout. And I really had fun making sure I got all 5 of the things because I picked them out last month and I didn't even decide what picture to scrap till this week. So, yeah, I thought I really should, when I get a turn to make the list, make the layout, and just pick 5 things on there. But no, I never think of that until I am actually doing the layout. But make sure you check everybody else out down there and see what they did with the list. I oh, see that funny looking thing laying there on the wild thing? It is one of those little resist pieces of paper behind the foam tape, and it got inked, so it looked kind of striped, but it's because it was inked. And I did pull it off when I got in here and started the video and seen it. Well, I seen it on the photos of the video. Uh, but that's it. That's my layout. If you leave a comment down there below, I'll try to get back with you. And if you like the video and hit a thumbs up, I'd appreciate it. And if you are not subscribed to my channel, I would love to have you subscribe. And those of you already are, thank you so very much. And thank you all for watching my video today. I appreciate that too. Have a happy scrappy week. Have fun on the hop. Bye.